What's up guys, this is Wenzes. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about personal development for INFJs and how to create an epic life on your terms. Today we're talking about why INFJs can't chill. This is a topic one of you suggested, and I think it's very, very important because it's something that has such a bigger meaning than what we think at first sight. It's not about being able to sit down and watch TV. It's about this constant voice in our head that tells us you should be doing something. Is it just me thinking that? Or is it true and I'm just not following what I'm supposed to do? So today we're gonna look into this a little deeper. Before we get started though, I wanna remind you that we launched the last bootcamp of the year yesterday, and there are less than 24 hours left to get the early bird price if you sign up below. If you're not interested in the early bird price or you wanna think about it a couple more days, you can still book it at full price. So what does it mean when we talk about INFJs not being able to chill? Maybe you have some of your friends who are able to chill all the time. When they come home from work, they can sit down, they can watch TV, they can meet their friends, and there's nothing else going on in their mind. Yes, they might be thinking about, okay, I need to take out the trash or something that I have to do for work, but it's not this voice that keeps telling you I'm wasting my life. And the problem with this is that you're neither chilling, so you're neither giving yourself the opportunity to really relax and regain energy, but at the same time, you're not doing anything to change it. So let's start with the obvious question. Why do we even feel this way? Well, in my opinion, the reason for this is our extroverted sensing. Our extroverted sensing is our weakest function. At the same time, though, it's something that we value. It's something that we want. And what is extroverted sensing all about? It's not about being physically active as in, oh, I'm going to work out or I'm going to be outside and explore nature or whatever you read that goes into that direction. Drawing, cooking, like all these kind of stuff people very often associate with extroverted sensing. I'm not saying that there isn't a connection, but the deepest thing when it comes to extroverted sensing is about conquering the world. It's about making something happen in the real world. And we as INFJs, our stack is set up in such a way that we have these grand visions, and then SE is the part of us that wants to make it happen in the real world. But here comes the dilemma. On the one hand, we do have these grand visions. This is something that most of the time is much more evident in your mind than it would be in other people's minds, because your way of thinking is focused on this. It's focused on expansive visions. So these visions become bigger and bigger. You've experienced this probably. If you, for example, met a person that you thought, oh, that person I could have such a future with, or you start a new job and you have all of those great expectations, it seems like your mind can't stop. And it imagines this amazing world that's right in front of you and you just have to take it. So this is a muscle. You can imagine it as a mental muscle that's going on that always wants to expand. It always wants to be bigger. And most of the time, if we're not moving forward, there is no way for this mind to keep on expanding. So it gets restless. So that's why I always say, you as an INFJ, you might think you're cerebral, you might think like, oh, we're all about visions and dreams, but unless you're actually creating something in the real world, unless you're making those visions reality, you're not giving yourself the opportunity to expand those visions in the first place. See, now every single time I get to reach a goal, every single time I get to create a vision and then put it into action and create it in the real world, I allow myself to expand even further. Because only when I create it in the real world, I actually have new information. What we do most of the time in order not to go that way is to tap into our TI. This is the typical NI-TI loop, where we completely neglect our extroverted functions and we think, oh, I will be able to expand my vision by just thinking about it more, by just understanding it more. So for example, you have a work situation and you feel like, oh, I just have to understand exactly how it works. And the better I understand it, meaning I tap into my TI, the more I can envision it. But this always goes hand in hand, of course, also with SI. I don't want to go way too much into socionics here, but I'm saying you go way more into detail mode. And this is not healthy for us and it doesn't lead us anywhere. Because in 95% of the cases, having more of those details is not going to help us to expand the vision. Because we don't need more details. We need space. We need opportunities. We need the next big step. And we're not going to get that through understanding. So how do we get it? Well, as as I said, we have to put it into action. We have to put it into our SE. We have to make it a reality. So back to our initial question. How does that play together with the fact that we can't chill? Well, the fact is we do know this on a subconscious level. We do know that we should be doing whatever it takes in order to make it a reality. Our vision is so big and we need an outlet for it. So when you're sitting there on the couch and you feel like, okay, now I could just watch TV or I could hang out with my friends, you have this voice inside you that tells you something is missing. You need to be doing something, and you need to be doing something that's productive in this way. You haven't done that all day. It's still there. It's still something you don't want to tap into. Why don't we want to tap into? Well, the reason for this is that our extroverted sensing is weak. And the moment you start tapping into it, you recognize how much weaker it actually even is than you thought. This is like one of those wake-up calls that really shocked me. That I understood I have like this great vision, and the only reason why I don't think like I should tap into it is because, well, it seems like hard work, or what if it doesn't work out, or there are thousands of stories we keep telling ourselves. But it's just our mind trying to protect us, because the moment you say, I'm choosing to tap into my own SE, that's the moment you stop being reliant on other people. That's the moment where you take autonomy and responsibility for your life. When maybe most of the time up until this point, you've gotten ahead by understanding people so well, helping them, being there for them, and being their sidekick and their number two. And through that, you went forward and forward in that life plan. And it's not like this is a bad plan, don't get me wrong. I've done it for a long time in my life, and it's gotten me to some great places, and I've experienced amazing things because of it. But when you get to a point where you feel like you're being restless, you can't really chill, then it's because you know it's time for the next step. And the next step, and this is really a whole different dimension when it comes to personal growth, when it comes to personal development, and you will get there. If you are in a position where you know something is missing, at some point you will get to this point where you say, I cannot keep on doing the same thing I've been doing so far. Even though I know my extroverted sensing isn't as strong as it is, for example, for the people around me, it's the only way I can make my vision reality. We always have the hope that we can just project onto other people and live through them. And that way we can also live out our vision. That whatever we think in our mind, that can become reality. And then it feels even more real. Because no matter how much you live in your mind, if it felt like this was true life, when your life, like the real life, when you open your eyes, doesn't reflect that, if that was enough, you wouldn't be worried about all that. You wouldn't be in a position where you can't chill. Because the people who can chill, they can do that because they know, well, I already worked 8 hours today. I already did what I set out to do. These are the things I put on my plate. I was able to accomplish them, and now I can relax. And this is something we all need. We all need leisure time. It is something that is necessary for our body and our mind to relax. If you're a workaholic, if you're somebody who cannot slow down, you got a problem, and your body will tell you this. See, we as INFJs, we barely are those typical workaholics who keep on working and keep on hustling, but where our work actually happens is our mind. So don't think just because you're not at your job 60 hours a week that you're not really a workaholic, or that you're not somebody who is able to chill. Even if you're laying on the couch for so long, and you know INFJs are known for this, that most of the time we're more in this internal world that we sit down and we contemplate. Well, why is it so hard then to do that and to feel fulfilled? Why do we feel like something is missing? And as long as you feel like something is missing, you're never really allowing yourself to actually chill. See, nowadays it's different for me. See, nowadays when I was able to make the next step happen, I've set my goals, I really put them into action. It was hard for me. I don't compare myself to anybody else because I know that probably if I would think, oh, things are not going as fast as they should be. I have learned to get over this, that I have my own pace, and we as INFJs have to learn this. Once I get to this point, I'm so able to relax. See, when I sit down on a Sunday and I feel like that was a hectic week and I got everything done I wanted, I really can internally chill. My mind can shut off. So if you're one of those INFJs who feels like, well, I cannot really chill, there's always this voice in the back of my mind that tells me something is missing, you should be doing something. It's SE. it really is SE. And then we get to the next big hurdle, which is you know that in order to make that vision a reality, you would have to put in so much SE. But right now, because you're not used to it, you can't even put in a little bit. So let's say if you wanted to make your vision come reality, you would have to go with a rate of 10, right? Or with a speed of 10. That's the kind of thing you would need in order to have the same dynamic in the real world as it is in your mind. But right now, your SE can barely put in half a point or half a rate or half a speed. That is something we have to accept. Most of the time, we don't want to admit to ourselves that if we would put in that step, it would only be half of that point, right? Or that rate or whatever we're talking about. We have to admit it to ourselves. Most of the time, we can't admit that to ourselves because it's an ego loss. And as long as I can pretend that the only reason why I'm not tapping into my potential, why I'm not making it happen is because, it's not going to work out, or if I go that direction, then I would have to deal with people I don't want to. So we have all of these things that come up that tell us why we're not doing it. When of course, there's going to be some kind of price that we have to pay. You cannot share your message and not receive any hate. You cannot go out into the world and do something great and not have some negative thing coming back to you. But the overall thing is you get to grow. You get to feel like you're expanding. Your mind actually gets to shut off and you feel like I'm living in my purpose. So once you accept this pain of, okay, I know I want to do 10 and I always pretend like I can move at a 10. But now I have to be humble. I have to understand that no, right now I'm at 0.5 and that's who I am. And I have to accept that and I have to love that. And once you're able to do this, you actually say, no matter what it is, that's where I'll start. This reminds me so much of a story when I learned to swim. I learned to swim rather late. I think I was 6 or something. So of course, all the kids that I learned to swim with were like 3 or something. And so I had to go in there and I was the oldest one. I was, the slowest one, the one who had to learn everything. And it was necessary for me to say, that's not gonna hinder me. I'm not gonna stop learning to swim because I'm afraid to look bad in comparison to others. And what happened, of course, I learned to swim really fast and I advanced to the next group. And before I knew it, I think within 2 years, I was already at the group with the best swimmers at my age. None of this would have happened if I wasn't willing to admit to myself that yes, right now, this is where you're at, your life, you've not been in this country, things have been different for you. Now you're here, let's start where you're at. So once you start at the 0.5, and that may mean for you writing 1 sentence a week or 1 page a week if you want to be an author, for example, or that you tap into something that you want but you go slowly. You don't continuously tell yourself, I should be doing more and so on. You recognize that this is where your SE is at. Making things a reality is going to take time, and that's okay. But the interesting and amazing thing about this is that your SE will grow exponentially. Not because it becomes faster, but because your reality matches up to your vision. And the closer your reality comes to that vision, the easier it is to make things happen in the real world. You don't need that strong of an SE. If I compare myself to an ESTP, I'm still 10 times slower. There is no question about it. But because I've built my life on my terms and I was able to create this life outside of the norm that works in my benefit, now when I do things, they happen so much quicker. Because I know, okay, what is the next step that's going to help me to expand this? The way you manifest things in life, it's something that will happen exponentially if you're willing to start small. There's no question about it. But you have to start going after your dreams. There's absolutely nothing wrong with deciding I want to have a typical life. I want to have a normal job, I want to have a family, and I want to be able to relax on the weekend. But if your life sort of looks like this right now and it doesn't fulfill you, it's never going to fulfill you. You need to bring your vision to life. You have to start setting goals. You have to aim for the thing that is not evident in the real world because your vision wants more. And if you vision once more, the only way to satisfy it is to actually keep on growing. And there is no end point. There is no now I have done it. It just gets closer and closer to this. And before you know it, you're living your dream life. You feel fulfilled. That voice inside of your mind has stopped talking to you in the way it used to. And when you want to chill on the weekend, you can do that and you feel perfectly fine. I really hope that inspired you to take the next step in creating your INFJ epic life. One way to do that is to work with us in the last boot camp of the year. As I said, we are open for admission for I think 5 or 6 more days. So we start next Saturday, and for less than 24 hours, you can even get the early bird prize. Sign up below. And if you want to watch another video now that is in line with today's topic, then watch the video on INFJ intensity. Like always, guys, I wish you a wonderful day, a great week, and I'll talk to you next time.